6 months ago. A little while. I wasn't thinking it was that long ago. And shared a little bit about what the trip that they were planning and what they're hoping to do. And they are going around to the different churches here and sharing what they learned on their trip and whatever else God has blessed you guys to challenge us with this morning. So come on up, and I'll have a word of prayer with you and listen to, and turn the time over to you. Father in heaven, thank you so much for your presence here this morning. Thank you for the opportunity we have to worship you. I just pray now you would pour out your Spirit on Felix and Emily as they share with us. Pray that you would open our hearts and challenge us with the work that's going on there in Belize and what role you have for us to play, and also just to worship you in the goodness of what you are doing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I will turn it over to my wife.
He'll be back, don't worry. So I'm going to go through the slide presentation. This is officially our thank you for supporting us, for loving us and praying for us on our last mission trip, and for those of you who were able to financially support us. We wanted to stop at all the churches and say thank you, because you welcomed us to come and ask for support. We wanted to come in person to say thank you and to share a little bit about what God has been doing. So before I talk about our most recent trip, I just want to say Felix and I are kind of nervous. We didn't sign up to do this because we like public speaking. We signed up to do this because we really felt like God was asking us to do this, to be a part of something he's already doing. And so I feel like God brought it to my attention during worship. We are here so that you all can hear about what God is doing. This is about work that God is doing in ways that he is moving in believers from all parts of the world. And so it's not about what Felix and I are doing, but it's about what God is doing. So just to give you a tiny bit, most of you probably were here, and maybe it wasn't 6 months. I just know it was cold, and it's not cold anymore. So it was a while ago. But last time we were here, many of you probably were here and heard us speak. But we are international partner delegates. Did I get our title right? Okay, so that's a part-time role that EMM and LMC support. And specifically as delegates to Belize, we are representing Lebanon district churches to the district churches in Belize. They are evangelical Mennonite churches that would have been planted out of work that EMM did there 50 or 60 years ago, quite some time ago. And they wanted relationship with us still. Even though they are functioning, formed churches, they still wanted relationship with us. And Felix and I feel like that is something that we could do. We are relational type of people and don't feel especially skilled outside of that, but we thought, well, we can be friends with people, so sure we can do this. So our intent in going was to step in. Bill and Judy are currently the partner delegates. They are wanting to retire out of that role, and we are training to take over. So we co-led this trip with them in March, and it went well. And I think their hope is that in our upcoming trip, which you'll hear about at the end of what I say, it's coming in February, that we would do the leadership role then, and they'll be there, but they'll also be able to travel and visit other friends they have in Belize. So that's what the international partner delegates do. This was my second trip to Belize. It was Felix's third. I think you were only there three times. It's starting to blur. But this was our first work trip that we did together. And so I'll go through here. It was New Jerusalem Church in Duck Run 1. That's the name of the settlement. And Duck Run 1, just to give you a little background, Duck Run 1 is situated immediately outside of Spanish Lookout, which is a Mennonite colony. And so it is in all of Belize. It is an area that has good jobs. And good roads. And so Duck Run 1 settlement and this church were a little bit of an anomaly in Belize. It was comprised of people who had really stable jobs. We're just better situated to do outreach. And so you'll see they have quite a nice church facility. We added on to that, and we did some outreach ministry with them. And it's all because of location and where they are, and the fact that they were able to do more in their community because of what's available to them. Am I doing this right? There we go. Okay, so these are pictures. My daughter, who's not here, she wasn't able to join us today. She put all this together, and she's wonderful with visual things. So she took all these pictures of Bailey's. So everything you see is things we saw in Bailey's when we flew in. And she put the PowerPoint together too, because I'd be lost. Tapir crossing, that's just a fun sign. So the tapir is, I believe, the national animal. Yeah. And so they look kind of funny and cute, kind of like a pig with an elephant nose, but they get quite large, like maybe the size of a not a small horse, maybe a pony, and really hefty. And we were told that like when they get crazy, they can run into something. They were known. I don't know that they do this anymore because I don't know how many of them there are, but they were known to overturn cars back when Bill and Julie were missionaries in Bailey's. So that's their national animal. So the building you see at the top is the New Jerusalem Church. The large area with the windows is their sanctuary, and then the open area is like a breezeway pavilion. And then towards the back are some Sunday school rooms. Now, what you're seeing there is only part of it. There is another building that sits back behind it that has a kitchen and has another 4 Sunday school rooms, I think. And also a room where we actually stayed on our first trip that they can use to house people that are coming through, missionaries or speakers or whatever. So that's the New Jerusalem Church, and that's a view out from the top of the hill where the church is. Spanish Lookout is in the mountains, and so it's warm and tropical, but it's also breezy and beautiful and not nearly as hot and humid as some of the other areas in Bailey's. So we were very blessed. It's a beautiful climate and a beautiful area. It reminded me a little bit of here because of the hills and the agriculture, and you could kind of see out, and I just really enjoyed it. So this is the building project. This was the main project and the main reason we went. They had already prepared for us. They were very excited for us to come, and they had done a lot of work ahead of time. They had dug out and poured footers for a Sunday school room. It was going to be a 2-room structure, wood, not concrete block, which is very common in building in Bailey's, but they were going to do a wood structure because the cost was a little less and it would go up faster and stays cooler. Oh, and they can move it. That's right. Felix. They determined they would do wood because that way they could lift it off the foundation if they wanted and move it somewhere else. And so they already had the footers poured. So the men, and did they have the floor joists down already? Did we start with laying the floor? Okay, so the men came and they always provided, there were always 3 or 4 men also working from New Jerusalem Church. They took off to join our men and what they were doing, and they worked together as a team. They laid the floor. And then they put up the walls, and the way they put up the walls was they had built the walls, laid them down, and they put the siding on them. So they were all laid like a kit, like a kid's art project, right? And then they put the walls up. They pushed them up with posts, and they held them up and screwed them into the floor and into one another. So it was kind of unique because that's different than what I typically do here in North America. And it was really fun to watch. And you can see up in the top corner here, there is one woman in the picture. That's the pastor's wife. Her name is Leticia. And her husband was there working, and she stopped over and was helping as well. Her sons were also working. And you can see Les Stoner in that picture. He was there helping, and Felix Bill Hauser is back in the back further with a hat on. And so that was our team. And then they put the roof on after the walls were up. They put up the trusses, and they laid corrugated roof over the top. And that was a very hot job. It was sunny, and that metal reflected the light. And our guys did get a little bit sunburned. Some of us were nagging at them to drink and put on sunscreen. I won't say who that would have been, but they didn't want to listen too much, you know. So that was our building project, and it got done in, we allotted 8 or 9 days, and I think we finished it in about 4.5 maybe. So we got done much faster than they thought we would. I think they were surprised at how hard the guys worked. And so we went in the middle of the week one week, and they worked on the building project, and then Saturday and Sunday, we planned to do a VBS. Children's outreach is very important. And they have a lot of kids. They actually own a school bus they bought, and they bus kids in from do you remember the name of the settlement? It's like a mile or two down the road from their church, and they'll bus kids in. Sometimes they have to take more than one bus load. We had over 100 kids. I think it was like 120 some kids from about 4 years old to about like maybe 14 participating in the VBS on Saturday. We did a morning session and two afternoon sessions, and the women at the church cooked lunch for everybody because the guys were present, but they also were working on the building as well on Saturday. So there was a whole work crew. There were all the kids, and there were all the children's workers, and the women at church cooked a meal for all of us for lunch that day as well. And we just did, it was like a VBS style outreach program. And so there's a picture of Les and Elise walking down the road that runs right in front of the church. And this up here is Mercy and Elise from the balcony of the house that we stayed in, looking out over the farmland. And there are some songs. We got asked to help. So our role in the VBS, they asked us to plan it. So we provided the lessons, the crafts, and the games. And they already had been doing outreach with the kids for several years. This was not new for them. So they knew more songs that the kids would already know. So we said, okay, we can lead a song or two, something easy for the kids. And then we realized they wanted us to stand up front and do motions. And we didn't have motions prepared. And then they wanted us to stand up front and do motions with them for their songs. And we didn't know their songs. So I volunteered Elise, and she was so sweet. You can kind of see her standing to the side. That's one picture. She was so sweet. She really didn't want to do it, but she did. She was a good sport, and we stood up there and we tried to follow along with what was going on. And this was the other project. So on the left here is Marvin. He went along on our team. He and his wife are retired. She would have served in Belize for a short period of time with Judy as a nurse. And so they came along. Marion did the children's lessons at the VBS, and Marvin was a painter by trade before he retired. And so he can't do the heavy construction work, but he said he would paint. So he, along with me and the kids and Marion helped paint their sanctuary while the guys were building during the week. And this was a care home we visited, so because we had an extra day, because the building project didn't take real long, we visited it kind of like a nursing home, but not with the same level of skilled nursing care we would see around here. So we went and visited a care home and just spoke to the residents there. There were a lot of people that had dementia and other health issues, and that was definitely I felt like that was a blessing to the people there. I don't think they get visitors real often, and they seem to really enjoy having us there. And then this was an area, they took us on an outing. We had a fun day. See, when you work real hard and get your work done fast, then you get to do fun things. They took us to Pine Ridge, right? And it's kind of like we have like national parks or state parks around here. This was a park area. It was privately owned, though. So because Nixon, the person who coordinated us being there, knew the people, and so he was able to get us permission to go in. The kids had a great time. That picture's a little blurry on the top, but they're actually swimming and sliding down the waterfalls, and we had a nice time in the water that day, and they had a beautiful picnic pavilion with a thatch roof that we were able to use. There's more of us in the creek. And then because we got done so fast, we had these days left over, and we said, well, what else can we do? We want to be useful. And Nixon and Sonia, who are they're called president. He's the president of the association. He fills a role like what Dave Musser would fill for our district. He has been traveling from Spanish Lookout, where the church is, north about 3.5 hours, a couple times a month, to support a church in Libertad who needed just some help with pastoring and leadership there and teaching. And because they were driving that far and the roads are not good, he and his wife were stopping over at a home that's a little bit over halfway from their house that the church owned that was housing missionaries up until recently. And the house needed fixing up. It needed painting, it needed electrical, it needed cleaning up. And so they were trying to do that on their own as they were traveling every other week to support this church in Libertad. And so we were able to go, and we were able to go one day, spend the day cleaning, painting. We slept there that night, woke up, did more work, and had a nice time. So that's outside. So it was actually a small house and a larger house with like a breezeway between the two. And so that's us together. And that was a big blessing to Nixon and Sonia and support to them. They were volunteering their time and their gas money to do that driving, to do the support in Libertad. That is not a paid position that Nixon has. He works full-time at a regular job Monday through Friday. And so it was very meaningful to us to know that we were giving them support in that way.
And I would add that we call it a partnership because so some of the funds churches provide, so we don't just go over there with money and do a building project. They have to raise their own support for the building project as well, and then we'll meet a percentage of that. And Emily said, you know, that they had men there working every day. It's a big deal to take off over there. So the minimum wage in Belize is $5 Belizean, which is $2.50 an hour here. And so to take off a day, 4 days, is a big deal. So we definitely appreciated their commitment to the project. What else?
Well, I think I was just gonna, I was going to end by saying, so what you saw was work we did, and I think that I grew up in this area, so when I think need that additional support. So just to know that they are our friends and they are our church family, even though they're so far away. And so I just want to encourage all of you, if you pray for Belize, if you pray for that relationship that our district churches have there, pray for the people in those churches, because they are our church family too. And that relationship is so important. It's so much more important than any building project we can do. We want to go do work. We want to give them something to show our support, but our prayers and our friendship to them are really the best gift that we can give them. Okay. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say was we do have a trip coming up again. We're looking at February of this coming year. It will be at Duck Run 3, which is not far away, maybe 15 minutes away from where this church was, so a similar area. It will be some sort of building project again. We're trying to hammer out the details and get some dates. But if you're interested in joining us, we would invite you to come. And I want to put a plug in. So our team that went, it was Bill and Judy Hauser, who are in their 70s, and Marvin and Marion, their friends, who are in their 70s, and us and our 3 children, so 3 teens, and Les and his teenage daughter. So if you're like, well, I'm too young, you probably aren't too young. And if you're like, well, I'm too old, because I'll tell you what, I'm putting Judy out there. She's 78, and she was not too old to go. There is always something that can be done, even if it's sitting and talking with someone, praying with someone, just being present there. There is a role. If God is calling you to go, please consider going. Any questions about the Belize trip specifically?
Please ask.
Okay, well, I'm gonna turn it over to Felix. You're fine. Felix is gonna share.
No.
He's trying to get out of it.
No, I was not. I was not trying to get out of it. We're running short on time. So, can you guys hear me okay? We're running short on time, so I might not share the whole thing. But it is nice to see people here that I know and have history with. Icebreaker here, Martin, Mr. Martin. Lowell invited me over to his house for lunch, and he heard that if he makes pork, I will come. And it reminded me of Mr. Martin once invited me for pork chops. And they were the thickest pork chops I ever saw. I'm not lying. And he grilled them. They looked real good. And then he gave me some hot sauce. Now, I won't tell you the name of the hot sauce, but let me tell you, I didn't enjoy the pork chops. So, I also know Glenn. I've worked with Glenn for several years, Newswanger. And it reminded me, I was sitting up here laughing because he comes to me one day and he says, you know what, Felix? He's like, you know what, Felix? They gave me the authority to fire you if I need to. I'm like, yeah? They give you the authority to give me a raise? He's like, no, they didn't give me that. They didn't give me that much juice. So, no, thank you. I'm not sure if I'll get through the whole message, but I'll just share some points of it. So at my church, and disclaimer, I'm not a public speaker and I'm not a preacher. So I'm nervous right now, and so if you hear me say forgive me now. There you go. So at my church, I'm the guy who was known for saying no. So if you would have told me that I'd be standing up here today sharing about Belize, about going to Belize or to any other country, I would have said no. It wouldn't happen. But here I am, right? And so at my church, I'm usually not so much now, but I was usually known as the guy who said no to everything. If you asked me to do anything, to go anywhere, I would say no. And part of that stems from my background. So if any of you guys know me or know some of my history, so I grew up a little over an hour east of Lebanon, Allentown. Grew up in public housing, 100 units, right? Bunch of people, drug infested. Not just drug infested in the sense that people sold drugs, but people use drugs. So that's all I saw all the time. And that's all I saw everybody doing. So most of the people I grew up around either sold drugs or used drugs. And so, growing up and seeing that, right, we learn by observation. And so growing up and seeing that, you tend to think that this is it. So I grew up with that mindset. Is this it? And so, like I said, at church, I'd be the guy sitting in the back pew, listening to people like me come in, sharing about Belize or these other, missionary trips. And I would be at the back saying, oh, man, he's not speaking to me. That ain't for me. And like Emily shared, most times we say that ain't for me because maybe we're too young or too old or I'm not educated enough, right? And I'm not educated enough. But, God can use anybody for his work. And as long as we believe that he created us for a purpose, right, then we can do it. And so I went from saying no all the time to saying yes sometimes. I don't say yes all the time. Sometimes. And so I just, 2 quick points because I know we're running short on time. So for years I believed that wasn't for me, right? Wasn't educated enough, that just ain't for me. I'll never go anywhere, right? And again, part of that stems from growing up and just seeing what I've seen. And I got to find my place here real quick because I am nervous. So I just want to share this. Like I said, I was always the person that said no. So people find it easier to say yes to God when things are going well and life is smooth, but we are less likely to say yes when God asks us to move out of our comfort zone and do something that is different, difficult, or inconvenient. The yeses may not come as readily as before. They start to slow down. And yet, I believe these are the times when we need to, and yet I believe that is at these times, the answer to God's call should be yes, right? And so how did I get from a place of saying no all the time to saying yes? First, I had to believe that he created me for a purpose. You have to believe he created you for a purpose. And like I said, like I mentioned before, I thought I had no purpose for many years because of drugs and jails. So my truth, the first truth, right, he created me for a purpose. And so I just have a couple verses that I want to share that share that. And the first verse is Ephesians 1:3-6, and it says, "Praise be to God, the Father of our Son, Jesus Christ, who has blessed us in the heavenly realms with every spiritual blessing in Christ. For he chose us in him before the creation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight. In love, he predestined us for adoption to sonship through Jesus Christ in accordance with his pleasure and will, to the praise of his glorious grace, which he has freely given us in the one he loves." And just one more verse, Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in." So I had to believe that he created me for a purpose. But how did I get from there to saying yes more? And again, I'm not a preacher. So I went from saying yes, so then I had to believe that what he called me to do, I can do, right? And I can't do it in my own strength, but he gives us the strength to do it. And so just end with one verse, Ephesians 4:13, "I can do all things through him who gives me strength." Right? And so I have to believe that I can do it and be willing to step out in faith. And if I don't, I will continue to say no to the opportunities God has for me to cause me to grow and glorify him. And I just want to say this, and I'll end with this. Saying yes. So saying yes and no are the basis for everything we do in life. Every yes has a no attached to it, automatically. For example, if I say yes to go in a men's group, I'm saying no to sitting at home watching TV, right? If I say yes to go in a Bible study, then I am saying no to doing something that might not be beneficial at all for me. And we get into problems when we forget that and try to say yes to the yeses and the yeses to the nos. But it's possible, like me, to get stuck in the nose and be afraid to say yes, either because of failure, embarrassment, worry, or it's too hard. Saying no to faith is saying yes to fear. And I'm talking about myself. I need to preach to myself. Every time I say no, I'm saying yes to fear, and God is not a God of fear. And so, so say yes more. And that's all I have. Any questions about beliefs? Okay. Thank you for letting me share.